You're listening to Fresh Hope for Mental Health. Hello, my friend, and welcome to Fresh Hope for Mental Health. I'm Brad Hoefs, your host. Our purpose here at Fresh Hope for Mental Health is to empower you to live a faith-filled, rich, and full life in spite of having a mental health diagnosis. And we're glad that you're with us today. And here today in the studio, I have with me a young lady named Carol. And we're glad that she's here with us today. She's just getting ready to move. And so we're getting this in before they head out someplace farther away from us. And Carol, I'm glad to have you this morning here in the studio.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for being willing to share your story.
You're welcome.
So, well, let's see. We met you maybe, how long ago?
It was in the summer of July 2015. Not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. So tell me, you came to Fresh Hope. You came to the Fresh Hope group. What brought you there?
Well, this has been kind of a long, about 7-year journey, struggling with anxiety, and it probably all started back in about 2008. I was a crime scene investigator, and that's probably about the first time I started really experiencing anxiety.
Now, a CSI person then?
Yes,
huh?
yes.
Well, that would
Correct.
be enough to create anxiety, I would think.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And shortly after that, I went through a divorce, and that just certainly kind of sent things spiraling for me. And my first experience really struggling with anxiety as a mental health challenge. And then fast forward a few years, and work led us to Nebraska. I actually reunited with my husband, and so we've kind of shared this journey together. And yeah.
Well, so yeah, you ended up here.
Yes.
And then what happened? What, as far as your mental health, what transpired? What was starting to show up?
I was working, and I actually got attacked by a dog, and that kind of sent me down in a downhill spiral.
Sure.
I didn't have a lot of support here, and I just didn't know a lot of people here. And I just realized I was really struggling, and got involved with a counselor, got involved with a psychiatrist, really struggled for a lot of months.
Now, what was it like when you were struggling? What were you experiencing? What was happening?
It was so bad to the point of I couldn't even pick out my clothes. I would look in my closet and I couldn't put an outfit together. I just couldn't function. I basically couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't go back to work. Reading emails was just too much for me. Talking on the phone was too much for me. Just everyday tasks that you take for granted. And people didn't understand. People
Sure.
couldn't see how I couldn't function. Those
Sure.
were simple tasks.
Now, were you suffering from depression at the time and anxiety, or was it mainly just anxiety all the time?
I think it was primarily anxiety, and then there was probably a little bit of depression also in
Sure.
the background. So they diagnosed me with anxiety, but also were treating me for depression.
Tell me how anxiety feels to you. What do you experience physiologically? It sounds like you just shut down emotionally.
Yeah, I do shut down emotionally. I also have some very weird symptoms. I actually even experience a burning in my mouth, and just get a real dry mouth, and my chest is very tight. But mostly for me, I lose all of my self-confidence, and I really truly can't do simple tasks.
Wow.
And it's very hard for me going from being a high-functioning crime scene investigator, a professional, to getting to that lowest point where I feel like I just can't even take care of myself on a daily basis.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It had to be very debilitating, and you probably are even upset with yourself. Why can't I just do this? Why can't, Now, did this come on quickly after the attack by the dog?
Yes, it did. It came on really shortly right after that, or right during the attack by the dog. And, when the anxiety started, I thought, oh my gosh, it was my fault that I caused the dog attack. I mean, I just spiraled it, completely all the way around. And I told myself all kinds of lies in my head. And I believed them.
Sure. Well, how did you end up at Fresh Hope then?
Well, actually, and that was my first battle here with anxiety after our move. And then I was able to come out of that several months later. And then I actually went into the battle that led me to Fresh Hope this time around.
Oh.
So I actually went through another round of anxiety.
Wow.
And I found Fresh Hope through a church that I had been going through. And I just happened to read an email from that church on a particular day, which was very weird because I wasn't checking my emails.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was deleting a lot of my emails that weren't things that I felt needed to be attended to immediately.
So that was really the kind of the caveat.
Yes.
Now, did you come right away then?
Absolutely not. I was terrified. I finally got up the courage to send actually you an email and got a very nice response back from you and saying that I was welcome to come to the group, and I was terrified to come. And that's what anxiety does to me. It just makes me isolate and turn inwards,
Frozen.
and I'm frozen.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't even have the confidence to get out. And I actually felt like I couldn't drive, and perhaps that was a lot of the drugs as well. But in my head, I didn't think I could drive.
Sure.
So after probably about a month and a half of doing that, and my husband was aware of all of this going on, finally he said, okay, we're going to go. And it was like dragging me in somewhere, dragging me in the front door of Fresh Hope.
Yeah. Well, what did you experience then when you finally came? Was it still high anxiety for you? And
it was high anxiety initially. However, the group was so warm and welcoming, and it was obviously a very safe place for me to be. And I just knew right away that I had found the place that I was supposed to be at.
Cool. Now, tell me, right now you're at a good spot, and you're at an exciting spot because you and your husband are going back home, so to speak.
Yes.
And certainly to a place that has more beauty than Nebraska, the flat plains of Nebraska. But tell me, what are you hopeful about this time with going through this cycle of anxiety that might be different than before? What are you hopeful, or what has happened and what has transpired that would cause you to believe that maybe you can be more on top of this and managing it more successfully?
I have just learned so much from Fresh Hope about the importance of being involved with a group of support, a peer support through Fresh Hope that's able to let me open up and realize that I'm not alone in this, and that I always have people that I can turn to for help. My biggest hope out of this, my experience, is to be able to turn around and help other people.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really hopeful is taking my pain and my suffering to realize that I can help other people and let other people know that they are heard and they are understood.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the tools maybe, or some of the things that you've gained from being part of the group that would help you cope, or not just cope? I don't like the word cope, but to thrive in the future. And, being prepared for the possibility that this could happen again and avoiding it if at all possible.
Yes, I believe the biggest thing for me is not isolating myself. And as soon as I realize that I might be struggling, that I need to open up and share with other people and reach out for support, and not wait until I get to the very bottom before I just don't know what to do. So I think, based on my experience, I think that I'm more prepared to just open up and grab out to my support.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how we all think when troubles start to come or things start to change, we think, oh, I can do this. It's not as bad as I think. And then we kind of tell ourselves little fibs. And then the next thing you know, we're down this deep, dark rabbit hole and having to crawl out and thinking, why didn't I, when my foot slipped into that hole, why didn't I do something?
Yes, absolutely. And I think for me, a lot of it has been a shame thing, feeling like there's something shameful in having a mental health challenge. And a lot of that goes back to a family history of hiding mental health issues. My dad did commit suicide when I was 3 years old. And I think just from that, I just have experienced shame in the fact that you are suffering with a mental health challenge.
Sure. Sure. And that feeling like you can't be honest about it or shouldn't be honest about it because people will judge you or see you as less than, right?
Absolutely.
When you're thinking about all of this and looking at it, are you surprised by how many people experience the same things?
I was absolutely surprised because you feel like you're so alone and you feel like you're the only one that this is happening to. And especially because people around you, my family, my friends, they didn't understand. They thought, come on, Carol, you can just pick it up, get it together. This is really simple. You've done so much more in your life. You're better than this. And it was just so amazing and so enlightening to me to realize there's so many more of us that are struggling. And it was just very enlightening when I got to Fresh Hope and realized there's people with so many different mental health challenges right around me. And this is just a portion of the people that we're seeing. There's so many more people out there that aren't reaching out or don't know about Fresh Hope groups and don't know how to find that kind of support. So for me, it really helps to know that there's a lot of other people out there and I'm not by myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me, how has faith played a role then for you in your recovery?
I can say, honestly, probably going into this, I really hadn't thought about my faith at all. And I really hadn't relied on it. And I really felt like all my life I had to be independent and do things on my own. And I think reaching this bottom point just made me go, oh, God, I really need you. I need God in my life. And just realizing all that he's done for me through this and that he didn't let me go and, he didn't leave me in that spot. And I know when I first got to Fresh Hope and we go over our hope tank and whether it's full or empty, and mine was really empty when I got here. And I was able to say last night in our group that my hope tank is full now. So
yeah. Tell me, what does hope mean to you today? What does it mean to have hope in spite of your mental health crisis?
Well, it's interesting you ask because before, when I got here, I thought hope meant how I feel about if my hope is enough to get me through, if I hope that I can get well. And I guess what it's changed for me is that I have hope that in spite of my mental health illness, that God will bring me through it. So instead of me being the person, it's now God who is going to carry me through it.
And that's a sure and certain hope as opposed to your wishful thinking,
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So there's a number of people listening to this podcast, and they're going to listen from all over the world. And can you speak to whomever might be struggling right now, whether it's with anxiety or anything, and maybe they're isolating and maybe they're just, drawing away from people and secluding themselves? Talk to them right now and encourage them and coach them just a little bit.
Okay. From my own experience, I would just encourage you to get out there and reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to the community. Find Fresh Hope in your area, Fresh Hope support group, or find another type of support group so that you can go and share and realize that you're not alone in this battle. And what I realize is the longer I isolate myself and the more I push other people away, the harder it is to come out of it. So come out before you get to that point.
Right. And because I think the longer we stay at that spot, the deeper, the darker the hole, the harder and the longer it takes. The harder it is and the longer it takes to get out of there, no doubt about it. And there certainly are not Fresh Hope groups everywhere and things like that, but we are starting Fresh Hope groups online now. And so people can go to freshhopemeeting.com and you can find a date that works for you or a time to meet with a group online. And as long as you have like a webcam or a telephone, or if your computer, you just have to have audio and video. And if you only have audio, you can attend the group that way too. But it's nice because everybody can see each other. It's like 12 people being in a room. And it's just like being at a meeting in person. So I'd encourage you to think about that if you're out there and saying, there are no groups, or the groups I've gone to I don't like, they haven't been helpful, or if you're a Christian and you really want the Christ-centered support, All you have to do is go to freshhopemeeting.com. Well, Carol, tell me anything else about your life and how you're feeling about life today.
Well, I definitely have more hope, and this whole experience has really made me draw on faith and draw on God and realize the type of people I want to be around, the person I want to be. I want to be able to reach out and help other people, and because of Fresh Hope, I want to, with my husband, start our own Fresh Hope group in the state where we're from, because there currently are none. So
yeah, super. Well, it's been a joy to talk with you today. And I know that there's many people out there that are going to gain insights just from just that little huge nugget of not isolating. There's research that absolutely shows that when people isolate, it actually causes your brain to become more unable, if that's the right way to put it grammatically, but your brain becomes less able to process things and make decisions. And so it's very important to not isolate. That was well worth it. So would you mind having a prayer for those who might be listening today?
Father God, thank you so much. Thank you on this journey that we are all in. And please let everybody out there who is struggling with any type of mental health challenges know that you are always there for them, and we are here to support each other. I know that you placed us all here to support each other in community and to not be alone. And we are just so very thankful and blessed by you. Thank you, Father God. Amen.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. God bless you in your move.
Thank you, Brad.
Well, my friend, we want to thank you for listening to this edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health. I'm sure it's been hopeful to you and helpful. We'd really like to hear from you. Email us your comments, your suggestions, and your insights, and we'll air them on the program and share your comments and insights with others. So you can leave a voicemail for our podcast at freshhopeformentalhealth.com, or you can also connect with us on Facebook or Twitter. You'll find the info on our website also. We have a YouTube channel, of course. And would you mind doing me a favor? If you're receiving our podcast through iTunes, would you mind writing an honest review of the program? It helps other people find it on iTunes. And be sure and tell your friends about this program. Pass it along to them. And until the next time, may He fill you with His hope, fresh and new daily. I'm Brad Hoefs, and this has been another edition of Fresh Hope for Mental Health. This has been Fresh Hope for Mental Health. For more information, go to www.freshhope.us.